Welcome to the Great British Crochet Off technical version, where I chat through the technical aspects of this week's episode of the Great British Crochet Off, a series where I watch that week's episode of the Great British Bake Off and then crochet something that inspires me from it. This week was back to school week. The bakers had to do like a take on a school festival, and so many of them decided to highlight the glory that is the kind of like duck pond thing where you get to pick up a duck and win a prize. So I decided to make a duck matching game. So each of these ducks has a little heart on the bottom. Oh, perfect. I got a match. And you can like make a little matching game for your kids or just have cute little ducklings to play with. And yes, they are in a mama duck swimming pool. If you want to learn more about this project, you can check out this week's video. Now let's go back in time and see how we got here. It was school week, back to school week, and I'm already ready to get started. So for the third challenge, the showstopper, they had to make like a school festival. I'm gonna use the word festival. I'll explain in the Great British Bake Off proper. Like, the word feat does not really exist to Americans like that. But they had to make like a school festival display. So they had to make like a main, it didn't have to be a cake, but like a cake like thing, a main structure for their display. And then they had to make like, I think it was at least 3 other bakes that showed, they had to show 3 different types of baking or whatever, and they had to make at least 3 other things. And so many of them did the hook a duck game. Here in America, as much as I've experienced, I've never seen hook a duck with like a fishing pole. I've seen where you have like a little net and you scoop a duck up and you pick up the duck and you see like what the color is on the bottom and it tells you if you won or not. So I'm going to be kind of playing off of that version of it and creating a memory game. So I'm hoping at least 10 little ducks, and each one of them is going to have like a symbol on the bottom. I'm hoping to do something cute, like a little like fruit applique or something, and you pick them up and you flip them over and you can like do a memory game with them. So I was at my kids' swim lesson tonight, and I used that as the opportunity to make my first little duckling. So this is my first prototype little duckling. So I'm gonna hopefully make at least 10 of these. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a separate video with my little miniature duck pattern, and then this video will probably be kind of like for pulling everything together, just because if I do all the little patterns I'm gonna have to do in this video, it's actually gonna be half an hour long and no one will watch it. So if you're interested in the pattern for this duck, there's gonna be another separate video for it. I'm gonna do the ducks as like, I'm gonna do 9 more of these and leaving them open, because I think it's gonna be a lot easier to put the little symbol on them if I do it as a separate oval, put the little applique on the oval and then sew it to the bottom. So I'm just gonna start like assembly line, making at least 9 more of these ducks, and then I need to figure out the container thing. So I'm thinking, if I have time, if I can work efficiently, making like a mama duck that they can all be stored in. That's the dream. Otherwise, I'll do some kind of cute mesh bag. But we're going to see how much time I have. So it's night 1. Let's see how many ducks I can get done in the next 24 hours. Also, after the biscuit one, I told myself I was not going to do any more challenges where I had to like repetitively make the same thing over and over again. But when you have an idea that feels right, you have an idea that feels right. So duck away I go. I have a 24 hours in on this project update. I have made 9 of these little duck blanks. I've just been trying to assembly line it so I can get through the like repetitive part really quickly. I need to make 1 more, but I'm going to do that one for the tutorial, so I'll probably end up doing that like tomorrow or Friday or something like that. And then I've made 10 of the little bottoms, so this is going to get sewn on the bottom. Like I said, I think it'll be easier to put the little emblem, the little icon on the bottom if it's a separate piece, and it'll just sit more flatly, I think. So I've made all 10 of these, and right now I am working on making the wings. So I'll need to make 20 of these little wings, these little guys, because I feel like the ducks could probably go without wings and be cute, but I mean, that's going to be it's details like that, right? That's what I always say. It's the little details that make it a Shea Yarn Great British Crochet Off project. So tonight I want to finish making the last of the wings. They work up pretty quickly because it's just a little tiny thing that I fold over. You can see it in the tutorial for the ducks. If I have a chance, I decided for the icons on the bottom, I'm just going to make my little crocheted hearts. I have a tutorial for this heart if you were interested in it. It's just a tiny little crocheted heart. I'm doing this, but actually it's like this big. I think it'll be the perfect size, and I think it's like a Shea yarn icon, this little heart. So I think it'll be a good like thing for the bottom of these. I need to make 10 of those in 5 different colors, so I might try and make those tonight. And then tomorrow, hopefully, I can finish assembly and all of the little ducks, and then start on Big Mama Duck to be the container. I have a couple of ideas around making her not only like to hold all the little ducks, but also be a place for like you to play the game. So like you can open, she's like a little bag that you can open up, and the inside looks like a blue pond or something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna finish making these ducks, and I'll come back when I have a plan for Mama Duck. I have my first finished duck with 9 more to go. So I put the little heart on the bottom, and it sits quite flat, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it like tipping over if it's supposed to be a game. So I have all of my supplies to make 8 more. Again, I'm making the 10th one for the tutorial, so you'll see me making the 10th one. And then I have a rough plan of attack for the bag. I'm gonna make a drawstring bag, basically. Outside is going to be pink, inside is going to be blue. Blue like the water, pink because I'm almost out of this yellow, quite frankly. I don't know if I'm going to make all the little ducks. I still need a little bit more yarn for them. And I'm going to see if I have enough yellow to make the mama duck yellow, but she might have to be pink. And you know what, girl? My kids don't have the same coloring I do, so that happens. But basically, it's going to be like a double layered drawstring bag. So you'll be able to draw it up, and then after I've finished making the bag itself and figured out how big it needs to be for all the little ducks inside, I'm just going to add like feet and a head and wings to it so it looks like a duck from the outside. And now I'm taking this project on the go. So I've done so much just boring crocheting. I made my first, this is the inner circle. This is like the paddling pool part, and I'll put the measurements for the inner circle here. I started off with making it an oval, and then I kind of lost the plot halfway, and I just ended up turning it into a circle because it was just easier and more mindless to do it that way. And I did that with single crochet, and then that took way too long. So when I was doing the outside one, the outside part of the pouch, I ended up moving to half double crochet just because I had moved on from just doing boring single and half double crochet. I need a little more variety than that. And then the last row, I'll put the measurements for that here, but basically it's just slowly increasing rows of half double crochet. And then a row of double crochet, because this is where your drawstring is going to go through. And I made my little drawstring. I just chained and chained and chained my little heart out until I had a chain that was longer than this all the way stretched out. So now all the little duckies fit inside, and then this will get all drawstringed up, but then when you want to open it up, you can just like fold the edges over, and it's like they're in a paddling pool, and it kind of looks like Jessica's little hook-a-duck paddling pool. So now you have a place to put your game. So the last things I need to do are decorate the bag itself, because I can't just have like a boring pink bag. I wanted to really make it look like a mama duck, but I have to be careful on how much detail I do on it because I want it to lay flat. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the drawstring in so I can actually like draw it up and see how much it is. And at minimum, I'm going to add some little like triangle feet and then some flat like wings to it. And then if I can figure out how to make them flat when I fold it out, I'm gonna do like eyes and a beak, but I'm gonna put them, I was gonna do a head on the bag, but now I think I'm just gonna put them directly on the bag just so it's a more usable thing. So again, next steps, put the drawstring in the bag and then make all those little accessories, put them on, also attach the inside of the bag to the outside of the bag. Just sew that on. So those are next steps. My very goofy duck bag is ready for assembly. Let's talk over the pieces really quick. Again, I had to keep this really streamlined and simple because I had to consider the fact that it needs to lay flat. So we'll start with the wings. These are circles, a magic circle of 6, and I increased up to 6 single crochet and then an increase. These are safety eyes. I'm going to put the backs on them and put some little eyelashes around them, just to soften them up a little bit when I go to sew all this on. This is just a little rectangle that is going to be folded over and just sewn on here. I'll put the little duck foot pattern right here. It's just a triangle with an extra row of crochet around it just to soften up the edges. I think those are all the pieces. So now what I'm going to do, I've pinned all this in place. so I can open up the bag, sew all this stuff on, and then the final step will be sewing that blue piece on. And I'm hoping that that blue piece is gonna hide a lot of like this sewing bit so you don't see it. I'm not as concerned with this, but like sewing on the beak and the safety eyes and all that. So I am going to do all that hand sewing. Hopefully it only takes me like 20 minutes or so. Here we are with the finished product. You can see you just open Mama Duck bag up. Here is her all finished with everything sewn on. And you can fold the edges in it and you have like a little paddling pond. My kids are so excited to play with this. I'm literally only filming right now because they're begging me to film so they can have their toy. So if you guys have any questions about this week's project, let me know. Otherwise, enjoy and I'll see you guys for next week.